Hi, this is Attila16 and this is a video of Wargame Airland Battle. In this case I'm presenting to you a Polish deck, so I'll explain to you the rationale behind each of those units as well as showing you how to use it. So let's start with the logistic. Now in this case I'm using the SKO TR3, which is this vehicle right here. And this vehicle is actually very fast. It can move at 95 km an hour off-road and 150 km an hour on the road. So that means that this vehicle is actually really mobile, and you will be able to move this command vehicle on zone very quickly, even before the enemy believe you can get there. So that's a very practical unit to have. And you have 4 of them, so I'm mostly playing 10 versus 10 in this case, so this is a reliable vehicle. Also, since it's armored 1 on all side of it, it can resist some artillery and some airstrike in some case, although airstrike is not recommended. Okay, so then I use this vehicle right here, which is a pretty light supply transport. It transports 750 liter, so it's not much, but you have many of them, 16 of them. So you can use them to resupply your troops very quickly, and if you receive an airstrike on the head, it's not too much of a loss, because this unit only costs you 15. So this is affordable. Then I use the Mi-8, and in this case this thing carries 2000 liters, so it's pretty good to resupply your troops very quickly, and you can send them back to an FOB. In this case I'm not using an FOB because I think with this deck it's most important to quickly resupply, so you'll spawn those trucks near the front, and for the rest, I guess you'll have to find a supply to your ally, which are willing to share or not, depending. But I think because of the nature of the Polish deck, usually you will end up losing your supply vehicle, so that's why an FOB is not necessarily that useful for the Polish. So, infantry. Now the Polish have Sappery, or Sapperzy, I should say. Which is a unit which has a grenade launcher. So let's see this. And I'm using them with the maximum level of veterancy, so they are veteran. And I'm using the transport Promet, which actually has an anti-air. It has a Zu-23-2. And while this is not a particularly amazing anti-air, it's an anti-air which might attract attention. It's not particularly expensive. As a result of this, it's good to spread them around in the wood. And since they fire guns, usually people notice them and will do an airstrike on them instead of your valuable anti-air. Also, since they don't have radar, you cannot call in a seed mission on them, so that's useful. And the reason why I'm using this vehicle for the Sapperzy is because since I'll deploy the Sapperzy into forests, most likely, the vehicle is a good fit for to put an anti-air which will be concealed into the forest. So it's a good mix. Also, the Sapperzy will be vulnerable to enemy chopper attacks, so having an anti-air vehicle is a good complement. Okay, then I use PPK Fago and with Mi-24D, and this is an ATGM unit, so essentially it's a fairly long-range missile. I use them with maximum veterancy, so I have only 6 of them as a trade-off. But the thing is that using the chopper at the beginning, especially the Mi-24D, it's a very good unit to bring in to capture zone quickly. So for example, you land into town, and the ATGM infantry will kill enemy tank. Well, the chopper will likely kill enemy chopper as well, because that Mi-24D has a Yak-B cannon, which is really, well, it has a good range against chopper, fast rate of fire, So this is very useful against chopper. It also has rockets, 64 of them, which will be very good against infantry. And then you have Saklos missile, Fleta, which you have 4 of them, which is not that many, but at the beginning what matters is to capture the zone, so you'll use this to suppress whatever comes by, and then the rest of your troops will come help out later on. So this is like a fast-moving deployment tool to capture a town before the enemy does. And usually, if the enemy doesn't anticipate your move there with long-range anti-chopper weapon, you should be able to eliminate them. And if the enemy does a chopper rush, the Mi-24D is very effective against enemy chopper. So that's a good choice. Then I used these Pishkaita Zergmek or something like that. Anyway, that's mechanized infantry in clear. I used them with the BWP-2D. And this is your regular troops that you'll deploy into forest, town, and they will fight at close range. This is also, the transport is really important in this case because the transport costs more than the infantry itself. Now what's interesting about this BWP-2D is that it has a 3 in frontal armor, which make it able to withstand potentially one direct shot from an anti-tank weapon at close range, which means that it gives you some chance to actually survive and unload your troops. And also this unit has an autocannon as opposed to a cannon, which make it particularly effective against light vehicle. That means it can also fire at chopper and it can suppress infantry very well. It has a Conquer missile, 3 of them, which allows it to be able to shoot from pretty far. It's a range of 2.6 kilometer, so that's a very good unit. Also the side armor is 3, frontal armor 3, rear armor 2. It's a little vulnerable on top with an armor of 1, but I think this is a very mobile, flexible striking force, which you can actually use even to recon, because what I do is I call in only 1 unit at a time. So I unload the infantry and then I move around with that unit and I scout around. And also with the missile, it allows you to keep the enemy tank away from your position. So that's useful. Okay, then I have some Commando C. And these are actually very... it's a new unit from one of the DLC. And this is... I transport them in Mi-24D. Which same rationale as I explained for the Fago unit apply here. It's a really good chopper to rush forward. It doesn't have that much anti-tank, but anyway, it's the same reflection. But let's check the Commando Z. What's interesting about that unit is that this is the ultimate unit for close quarter combat, so that means city fighting. It costs you 35, but this unit is really strong. They have that CQB weapon right here, which is effective at close range, but they also have an RPG-16D, which they fire from a static position, but it has a range of 875, which make them similar to VDV, but I think their CQB element make them very effective for town fighting. And I use them with the elite level of experience, which make them even better. So you use very few of them and they'll be able to defeat a greater number. So that's it for the infantry. Now let's move into support. I would say that in terms of support, the Polish are lacking in anti-chopper. So I rely on BRDM-2 Strelza. Which is this unit here. This is an infrared unit, and the range against chopper is pretty short. It's 2.2 kilometer, but this is compensated by the fact that this unit speed is 100 kilometer an hour. So what you do with this unit is that you hide them into the wood, and as the enemy chopper comes by, You come out of the wood and you charge them with that unit. You might lose a few, but you will likely kill a few choppers with it. So this is a very practical unit for that. Since they can fire on the move as well, it's useful to move with them at the beginning, so to support tank. And I use them with the maximum amount of veterancy, which means this is a veteran essentially. And that makes them very deadly against even plane, even though the range against plane is 1.8 kilometer. But the only downside to it is that this unit only have 4 missiles, so you will need to resupply them, otherwise you might end up having trouble against air unit. Also, you should keep them on the move constantly because they are infrared and the enemies don't like infrared. Because they cannot call in seed mission against them, so they will likely either use artillery or bombard with planes the position of your thing. So keep them on the move and hide them, reveal them. So it's that kind of action, and keep a supply vehicle nearby. Okay, then I use this new unit here, which is the 9K33M3 ROMs. Now this is radar guided anti-air, and the reason why I'm using this as opposed to a Cub is that this unit actually have 6 missiles but a rate of fire of 18 rounds a minute, which make them extremely fast at shooting enemy planes. The range is 3.1 kilometer, which is pretty good. It's a little shorter for against chopper, but this is your favorite anti-air for the Polish now. And the thing is that they fire really fast, so if the enemy attack you with a lot of planes, you will be able to shoot down many of them. At the same time, since it only has 6 missiles, it's important to keep them resupplied, and it's the same as with the Cub, but it's a much faster rate of fire. So this is a better unit to handle large amount of enemies. Okay, then I use the Dana, which is a piece of artillery. This is actually pretty mobile when you look at it. It's 150 km an hour and 80 km an hour off-road. The range is pretty good. Accuracy is okay. The HE power make it able to destroy nearly any anti-air or light vehicle. And the rate of fire is 6 rounds a minute, so that's pretty good. And usually with 2 of them you should be able to destroy an enemy light vehicle. The ideal would be to have 4, but in this case I decided to go with 2 because this is a unit which I don't really plan to rely on too much, especially since I don't have an FOB. So artillery really consumes supply quite a bit, and since I don't have an FOB, I don't really need a lot of artillery, and I prefer to rely on other units or my team. Okay, when it comes to tank, I use the T72 Wink with the veteran level of experience. As you can see, this unit is very strongly reinforced in terms of armor. If you look at it, it's 15 armor in the front, 4 on the top, which make them very resistant to airstrike, and 9 on the side, which is a little less impressive, but it's good nonetheless. Rate of fire 10, which make them very good in terms of rate of fire. Most units have 7. So this is nearly like a T80 rate tank, but it's a T72. Also, since it's a T72, people have a tendency to underestimate them. But the Wilk is very powerful. I saw them destroy quite a few Abrams and Leopard 2 because the enemy doesn't expect it. Also, I saw them hold the entire front all by themselves. So this is a very reliable unit. The range on the cannon is also very good, so they can fire on the enemy from afar. So that's I will compare this to an Abram essentially, or a T80 without missile. So that's your ultimate tank weapon for the Polish. Then you have the T72 M1 Jaguar, which is your more regular T-72. It's pretty good in terms of armor, frontal armor of 14. The range is also pretty good at 2.1 kilometer. That make them effective. Accuracy of 6, 16 AP power. They have a stabilizer. I think the previous version it does have a stabilizer. So that means that they are okay on the move, but not perfect. And I use 2 groups of them with Veteran C, so veteran level of Veteran C. This is a very reliable tank. It can hold its own against most NATO tank. Of course, it's not as good as the best Abrams or Leopard 2, but it will be able to handle most enemy troops. Then I use the T55AM Merida, which I don't use that much. But what's interesting about this unit is that it doesn't have so much armor, but it has a good accuracy, good AP power, and a good range for its price. So that make them ideal to defend a forest or defend a position. So if you need a lot of troops quickly, this is probably a better choice than a T-72. At the same time, let's compare a little. It has less armor, so this is your advanced line of defense, and you want them to be deployed in area with a lot of space, because the main edge of this T-55 is the fact that it has a longer range than other tank. Than a T-72 here, which has only 1.9, while that T-55AM Merida has 2.1. So that gives it a small edge in terms of range. Okay, now let's see the recon. Now the Polish recon actually use Mi2RO, and it has an exceptional optics. So and it's pretty early. It's 1974, and that make them actually very reliable for scouting. And you have 3 of them per group, so I use 2 groups because it's really important to have good recon. Then I use these anyway, that's a recon. Cost you 15. I use them with the chopper. They are few in number, but what's interesting is that this is PKM, so they are a recon which have the means to defend themselves. So depending if you want to use the commando, which I showed you here, or not, this might be a cheaper option if you don't think that you'll receive much enemy attack. This unit has anti-tank. They have static weapon to defend themselves. There are not many in number, but they have a good visibility. So, and they are also very mobile, so that can be a very effective unit to scout around. And then into vehicle, I use nothing. Then in chopper, I will say the Polish have very strong chopper units. You can see here that I'm using 1 group of Sokol, and I use them with the minimal amount of experience I can to have the number, because I want them in group of 2. And this chopper, what's special about it is that they have Igla, which have a range of 2.4 kilometer. So this chopper is an anti-chopper essentially. They can shut down plane, but the main goal is to destroy enemy chopper. So from afar, because 2.4 kilometers is pretty good, and can probably get away with it without the enemy anti-air destroying you. So you have 4 of them, use them carefully, but this chopper is really reliable. Then I use 2 group of Mi-24W, which have 8 missiles, which are really powerful, as opposed to the Mi-24D, which only have 4, which are not as good. So this is your very reliable attack chopper with the Polish. It's really powerful. If you have a few of those, you can wipe out an entire army. The only challenge here is not to get destroyed by enemy anti-air, and the range of those missiles is 2.8 kilometers, so that's very far. Okay, when it comes to plane, I use the Su-22M3. The reason why I use this one as opposed to this one is that this one actually can destroy a vehicle in one pass, while the other one, which is the Su-20, doesn't. So what's fun about this plane is that you can either send them to fly above a big formation of tank, and they will automatically fire and destroy whatever they can. Also, you can be very specific about the type of target you want, so you can click on the target and they will try to destroy it. The range is pretty good, and they are able to fire 2 missiles in one pass and then get out of there. They also have some infrared anti-air missile, but that's not really the purpose of this plane. This is really like a very good tool against heavy tank. So if you see an Abrams or a Leopard 2, you can call in this plane and it will destroy it. Against smaller target though, I will not recommend it necessarily, because smaller targets are harder to hit. And but for big target, this plane is ideal to snipe them. Then I use the MiG-23BN. And the reason why I use this plane is that this is actually a plane with rockets. It has 8 240mm rockets, and these have an HE power of 12, which make them able to essentially destroy a Roland 2 in one run at it. So they just fly in, fire one rocket, and then destroy them. On the other hand, what's a little annoying about it is that once you fired the first pass, it still has ammo for a second pass. And as a result of this, that means that this plane will likely try to remain in the area, which means that it will likely be shut down. So this is a plane which you might want to micromanage. So you do your pass, you destroy the target, and then you order the evac. Otherwise, it will get destroyed further into the enemy line by anti-air. So this is it for this Polish deck, and you get a good look at it. And now I will show you how it works. Okay, so in this case what I'll do is I'm actually showing you a replay for change, because usually I show you on the fly, but I had a pretty good game where I use that deck, and I'll simply show you up close how it is. So I will select myself here. There we go. So now I'm in Bravo, and my goal will be to capture Lima. And I can already tell you that it will go pretty well. It will be a quite intense war, and I think I'll feature pretty much all the troops available to me. So let's speed it up a little. So at the beginning what I do is, as you can see here, I'm actually deploying Mi-24D. Let's slow it down now. With my commando essentially. And I also have Mi-24D with my Fagot. So I have 2 group of Fagot per group, and only 1 unit of commando, and those are Mi-24. So what I'm doing now is I'm essentially deploying my troops into the town, and the Mi-24 is really fast, which allows me to get there before the enemy can. Now I deploy 1 unit of commando here, here, and here. I deploy my Fagot here and here. I deploy my unit of commando here, and I will deploy some Fagot here that will create a zone of mutual support for my ATGM unit. Here I decided to risk one of my Mi-24 by deploying some commando on the side here, and as a result I lost my Mi-24. Now you can see that it's still fired on the enemy scout, and also suppressed the enemy infantry there before being destroyed. While that happened, I landed my troops on the side here. The enemy also did a few plane attack on my chopper, which led to my commando here to be well, to crash over there. And the enemy is using their plane to intercept my Mi-24. But the thing is that the planes cannot really destroy an Mi-24 in one pass, so as a result of this my Mi-24 are actually able to survive even though they are getting fired upon. Now you can see that my chopper are really hurting big time the enemy Leopard DK over there. Now the enemy keeps doing some air-to-air attack against my chopper using F-16, which are a good fighter, but it's not particularly effective against chopper, because what you want against chopper is to use a slow fighter. So unit with infrared missile, which have a slow speed that allows them to fire their missile at the target and destroy it. Now here you can actually see some ADAT. That's the Canadian anti-air, and this thing is deadly against chopper. So they did manage to destroy a few of my chopper because I got over enthusiastic about chasing down the enemy over there. But I decided here to pull back my chopper, so I just send them back. At the same time here I finally hold the zone. And here you can see that my commando actually destroyed an enemy Leopard at a pretty good range. You can see here the range is very good. So this unit is worth 35 points because it already destroyed something which was worth more. So that is it for that. Now since I was hearing from Half that there was some difficulty here, I decided to bring in one unit of mechanized infantry, so you can see them here, and the goal here was to go capture the town. Now I lost the BMP, but I think some of my infantry did manage to survive, so we are essentially advancing now against les génies de combat. So some engineer in there. So I order my troops to get in there in order to do some close quarter combat. While here, some Challenger thing decided to destroy my infantry, which I forget right there. But you can see here my Fago are actually shooting on the Challenger from pretty far, keeping them away. While here the fight for the town has begun. You can see that my mechanized infantry is fighting engineer. Engineer are pretty good to keep the enemy stunned or simply slow down the process of capturing the town, but they're not really a killing machine. Now you can see that the enemy also had some infantry in there, some Islander, which are a good anti-tank unit. Here I brought a Jaguar, which is for me not particularly expensive, so that was a unit I could afford to bring into the fight without knowing that it will be too much of a loss if I lost it, because since this was the second front, I did not really want to commit expensive troops. So you don't bring your best troop to a location where you won't have your attention there. So it's better to commit to only one place. Okay, well here I was kinda busy on the left side now, so I was neglecting my troops. But my anti-air actually shut down a few planes, but as a result of this they kind of revealed their position. So I probably will pay that later on. Okay, so now you see my T-72, which is receiving some anti-tank fire from a pretty good range from Canadian rifle. And the thing is that I realized that a little late, and as a result of this, my Jaguar took a few hits, but since it received fire in the front, the damage were not too big and it wasn't destroyed. While here there was some Delta Force, I brought in some Sappery, and Sappery essentially killed them all. You can see the fire resulting from my Sappery action. It just killed the Delta Force instantly, so that took care of that. While here the enemy decided to bring in some LAV-25 with Marines, so you can see them attacking my commandos. And I guess the enemy even brought some Zippo to burn my commandos down. I can see that my Fago actually destroying some Leopard, not Leopard, but LAV-25. While here you can see perhaps that my Fago are suppressing the Zippo over here. So you can see that it has a pretty good range, and now it's destroying the tank which are attacking the town. So having ATGM units in that location here allows you to protect the location here, while having ATGM here allows you to suppress enemy tank here. So this is mutual support. Now, at the same time, the enemy did manage to advance into the town, and as for the left side here, from this point on I'm pretty much neglecting it. I don't look at it anymore because now the enemy is pushing on me here. Now I take no chance. I bring in some more commandos in Mi-24D, which I will land nearby and not above, so this way I won't lose my chopper to enemy light arm fire. So you can see my Mi-24D landing. Now that my troops are on the ground, oh yeah, I neglected that. The enemy actually had a Kiowa, which use Hellfire, and this is a very deadly thing, as you can see. So they managed to destroy my 2 chopper here, which was unexpected. At the same time, I kind of saw it coming. But as a result of this, I realized, oh well, I should destroy that Kiowa. So I brought in my Sokol, and you will see that this Sokol will destroy the Kiowa pretty quickly. At the same time, my commandos are heading into the town. They are receiving some enemy artillery fire, but they are not really affected much. They only lost 1 guy so far. Okay, so now the Sokol fire a single round, and there you go. The enemy recon is gone. So I'm pulling back my Sokol. It did its work. So for hunting down enemy scout chopper, this unit is really good. Although be careful about potential anti-air, because this is a very weak unit. Also, enemy plane can do quick work of that plane if you're not careful. So, and that's what will actually happen at some point. Now here you can actually see that I'm bringing in some mechanized infantry, and I'm bringing in 1 at a time, while the enemy on their side are bombarding, because right now I'm lacking anti-air, because my anti-air, which were infrared, were destroyed here due to my negligence, I should say. While here you will see the Harrier actually destroy my Sokol. There you go. So Harrier is actually pretty good against chopper because it's slow. That's a good choice of plane. Although since it's slow, it's vulnerable to be destroyed. Now the enemy kept calling in some Aardvark, and as a cluster bomb bomber, they are not particularly effective against infantry, so it was quite a waste and a risk for them. They probably should not have wasted their plane like that for destroying or bombarding infantry, because cluster bomb against infantry are useless. Well, here you actually have my infantry fighting some Pathfinder, which is Canadian Recon infantry. And they're putting a good fight, because I think they actually have a close quarter combat weapon. Okay, now I have deployed those 9K33M3 ROMs, and these are my anti-air fast rate of fire. They already killed a few enemy planes which came by, and it keep going. Now the main problem is that, as you can see, I only had a few wave of enemy plane coming, and those units are already out of ammo. So that's a bit of an issue. But these anti-air are really effective. As you can see, they already did shut down 3 planes in a few seconds that I deployed them. But they're already out of ammo on the other hand, so that's an issue. Okay, now the enemy is actually bringing in some heavy hogs, which is an interesting unit, because the grenade launcher make them effective up to a certain point, and the rocket make them effective as well. While here I'm actually bringing in my sapper essentially, and I'm bringing them in with the Promet, which are firing a little at the enemy hogs, but that's not much effectiveness. While here I'm bringing a Sokol, which is a much more effective weapon, and you can see that for each missile that they fire, they actually destroy an enemy heavy hog. Now at the same time, might have noticed or not that the enemy air units are getting shut down by my ROMs. There's more ROMs coming here, and now actually Raven. So, well, the Raven just flew above my army. But now my problem is really the supplies, and so I bring in some supply because my anti-air are out of ammo, and that's not good. Now you can see that my ROMs here actually destroyed the Harrier, which was around there, so on the left side, so that's a good range, all things considered. So the fight for the town keeps going on here. Now I do have a BM or a BWP is dead. Yeah, BWP, which is using its autocannon against the choppers. That's another interesting aspect of those BWP. It's the autocannon. While here you might actually notice that my ATGM unit is shooting those M1A1 Abrams. So that's one destroyed, and this is one of the most expensive American tank out there. So those ATGM destroyed one, and now they're destroying a second one. There we go. So that's 2 less. Very expensive units. So you see that the mutual support of those zones is really effective at the moment. While there's some Delta Force here, which are really good units, and they have the maximum amount of experience right now. So that's why they are putting up a good fight. While here I have my BWP, which is still fighting, but this time it's actually shooting the Hawk with its missile. So got one now. So you can see that it's a single unit, and since it's a single unit, usually the enemy doesn't really notice. Oh, it's just one missile. Yeah, but look at it. This single unit managed to destroy 2 Hawk, which are really valuable, and even faster than the artillery. So as you might notice here, what I'm doing is I'm deploying 1 unit of infantry at a time. Now they received a strike by the Nighthawk. That's a good part of why I'm using 1 unit at a time. If the enemy does an airstrike, you only kill 1 unit instead of 2 or 3. So and also what it does is that it allows me to capture different zone and to fight enemy position from multiple angle. As a result of this, the enemy can only fire at one of your square, while your different square have multiple angle on a single target. So as a result of this, only one of your unit might lose effectiveness from being suppressed, while the enemy received fire from different angles. So it's probably ideal to have multiple units in multiple square as opposed to have a dense formation of unit. Now here I'm kind of wasting my troops because they are too few to make a difference. At the same time, I'm using them as a recon force for my chopper, which are here. Now my chopper are pretty much at the maximum range of their rockets at the moment, but they are suppressing the enemy delta force. So that's kind of good, but that also attracts unwanted attention. Now here I have another WP, which is firing its missile on those Zippos, which are flamethrower. And also I have another one here, which I'm moving into some kind of micromanagement in order to destroy those Zippo, and it's actually working. So I'm using the flexibility of that unit and speed to outmaneuver the enemy Zippo, which are actually a tank. So I'm destroying them in the back using mobility. At the same time, here you have an M1A1, which just destroyed my BWP. So I only risked one unit, which wasn't much. Okay, well here still some firefight going on from afar. I'm using still my motorized infantry. At the same time here you have my Mi-24, which have finished off the last Zippo which was there. So they are actually using their missile all the way here. But now they are out of ammo, so I'm pulling them back. So what else is going on now? I'm still bringing more single unit of mechanized infantry. So let's see. Oh, something exploded over there. Now the enemy actually they decided to advance a little their Centurion here, but it's not worth it to attack them at this point because you don't know what's in there and it's mostly ADAT. While here my anti-air keep killing more planes, which are doing cluster bomb attack on the town, which is largely useless. It might kill a few infantry, but it's too few to be worth it. Okay, so while here what I'm doing is I'm bringing in more commando to go into the town, but what I do is I land them here, and I will actually take action against those Centurion, which are getting closer. So let's see that. So Centurion is an okay tank. It doesn't have much range. I'm not sure which version that is, but it's not the most amazing tank ever. Actually, this one costs 25, so that's a pretty bad one. And my chopper are destroying them from afar using their missile, like this. Okay, there we go. Well, here the fight continues. So I'm using my mechanized to suppress the enemy here, while I have a few troop transport deployed there. I can see that my BWP is using its autocannon to shoot at the enemy infantry. It's not super effective when you look at it, but it might suppress the enemy because of the rate of fire. While here I have my commandos, which are moving toward the town. There we go. Now the enemies are moving some leopard here, which my BWP here is most unable to take care of. Although here I have another one which have a few missiles, but the accuracy is not particularly amazing. So probably should have pulled them back. But you never know, sometimes lucky it can be good, like this. I just killed one before losing it. So I received 50 points for destroying a leopard, while the enemy only received 30 points. So that's a good trade. Well, here my commando are now taking position in the town at the entry here, which was a bit of a risk because kind of make them exposed to everything around there. So that wasn't necessarily the best move. I probably should have moved them right here. This way they will not have had they will not have been fired upon. At the same time, if you look at the range of those commandos, they are actually engaging the M1A1 Abrams here with their RPG-16. So that's a very good range, and they might actually destroy it. At the same time, there's way too many enemies there. So the enemy is making a big offensive with Génie de Combat, which are flamethrowers essentially. So they're doing a big charge now against my troops. The Grizzly in great number have a lot of firepower because of the amount of 50 cal fire, I guess, but at the same time they cannot really handle enemy vehicle. Well, here I am actually sending all my supply transport back to the base, actually this base here, which is plenty of FOB. I'm also sending my Mi-24 there to rearm. I had the benediction of the player for that as well, so it's totally legit to use his FOBs. Well, here I brought some Mi-24 back into the fight, and I'm moving them where they will have a good angle on the enemy vehicle and infantry. So I'm destroying quite a few enemies here. So you can see that the Polish chopper really play an important role, and I will say that Poland's strength is largely the choppers, because when it comes to fighting enemy chopper, the choppers are your best tool. The Sokol and Mi-9, not sure which version, but there's multiple versions which have anti-air, and it's really effective against chopper. At the same time, those Mi-24D as a transport is really good against chopper with their main gun. So there's many units which are actually very reliable in terms of fighting air units when it comes to chopper, and they can also be good at fight land units as well. And you can see here that my anti-air are really shooting down many enemy planes. I actually deployed a few wing. Is that Wilk? Now these tanks are really good. This one I'm risking him way too much, but they can destroy heavy Abrams or that kind of stuff very effectively. I'm destroying them into the forest here. I also deployed a few Jaguar over here, and they are shooting the Abrams there. Now Abrams are a little better than Jaguar, but the thing is that my Jaguar are actually supported by more Mi-24D, so chopper are doing the job. It's a good combo with the Jaguar tank, which essentially serve as a recon there. You can see that I brought in some more commandos here, which are probably related to those Mi-24D here. I lost one, actually I lost 3 Jaguar. And here what's interesting is that here I actually have a Wilk which is deployed here, and he's actually supporting here, while here I have a Wilk which is much further, but he's actually shooting those Abrams and destroying them from pretty far. Also you can see that he actually got it in the back. That's another aspect that's important in this game. Do not expose the side or the rear of a tank. If you want to go left, it's best to put your troops in reverse, pull back, and then move back in from another angle where you won't expose your rear. Well, here actually has the pilot which wanted to do an air show. I guess he was showing off how he was dodging all the bullets like Neo. So that probably it was either a bad move on my part, or the pilot panicked and decided to go there. But anyway, my ally here had the Mi-28, which are really effective against Abrams and that kind of stuff. So yeah, essentially I was lucky that this Mi-24 survived. While here, in terms of holding the town, I think that this is starting to be under control. The enemy is probably running out of troops, or I'm not sure what's his status. While here my Mi-24W in this case, which are real attack chopper as opposed to transport, which with much more missile. They're actually engaging the enemies over there from afar with missile. So you can see them engage one unit of Roland. Actually, that's not Roland, it's Rover. Oh yeah, I'm telling them to engage those light tank, which is a bit of a waste of missile if you ask me. I probably should have chosen something more valuable, because those missiles you need to replace them. So if you fire those missiles on weak units, that's not good. Well, here my Mi-24D W are engaging that. These are essentially ATGM units. And just because there's a line of 3 here, I'm losing sight on them. You can see that the sight system of this game is actually very well done. Every small detail is important. Well, here actually there's something which I did here that you won't see the result of, because the game ended, so we never saw what happened. But I actually deployed a few Sokol as well as Mi-24D, and the reason for this was that there was a lot of Apache around there. And had the game not finished, I will probably have destroyed a couple of Apache with those Sokol, because one shot and the Apache will have died. Well, here the enemy did a few airstrikes on this area, but I did not really lose anything valuable. You have some Raven patrolling around. But yeah, at this point the game is pretty much over. The maximum amount of destruction point have been reached, actually by both teams. So you know that it will be a draw. And you can see all my supply vehicle coming back here. Well, actually what might be interesting here is the Conqueror, which are firing on the enemy. There's also some Cobras here, but I don't think they'll do anything. While there you have a couple of Apache, which will have been likely destroyed by my Sokol, which I'm moving now. So they're moving in, and they will likely have destroyed those Apache. But no, the game ended. So essentially, let's see how it ended. So I did 5,945 damage, received 3,000, which is a good share of the fun, I guess. And if we look at how will my unit perform, you can see here that my sapper, which were on the left side, destroyed the Delta Force SAS, so pretty good units there. But my Fago received, well, they destroyed M1A1 Abrams, as well as Lav 25. Commando destroyed the Zippo. Here my anti-air destroyed the F-16 Harrier, Raven. Here you can see Aardvark, Nighthawk, Hawk. Yeah, that's a lot of kills. Here you can see my Commando killing a lot of Grizzly as well as US Marine. So that was a really good round. I hope you enjoyed this. And tell me if you prefer to see the replay, which usually get you close to the action, or if you prefer to see me play, essentially. So it's either the replay or the real action. So I will do the French deck next, and I'll see you there.